Oh, scary skeletons on the desk. Welcome, everybody, to the analyst desk. It is I, Jacob Moore, the self-proclaimed sports analyst, joined by Mr. More for your money.
Woo!
And the most dashing man of them all, Lane Dashing Dashco.
What's going on, everybody?
We have Elks fans in the chat.
Oh, nice. Buchanan. Go Elks.
Buchanan. Thank you very much. Also, Josh, for the heart. We heart you back. Buchanan Real Estate. Best place to go when you need a home.
100%. Buchanan Luigi. Look it up.
And of course, Key, back in the comments. Key, I still absolutely love the John Candy reference in the profile picture. And
yeah,
you know what,
sweet.
Key, you're amazing.
100%.
Lane is so excited about the Jays. He has in the comments. Well, quickly on the Jays, though. Lane, you said not that long ago they were done. They were cooked. They're overcooked like a steak. I don't know if you said that part, but I just thought of it. But now how do you feel about the Jays up 3-2?
Well, I'll be honest. I know I'm in a negative Nancy, but I got to admit, it was so refreshing to go to that watch party because I think, watching it at home, the anxiety gets to you and makes you feel a little more anxiety. But being with that crowd, with those people, watching it with my girlfriend and her mom, and we were just chilling, eating popcorn. Everyone was happy. The Jays were crushing it. I was like, I needed that. I hadn't had a night of fun in a long time. I think that anxiety and just, the pressure of everything was getting to me. I really needed that. I've been feeling so revitalized. And let's go Blue Jays.
Absolutely, let's go Blue Jays. We will quickly mention that off the top of the show. The Jays do have a chance to win the World Series tomorrow, and that is super duper exciting. You know what? For a lot of Toronto fans, unless you're an Argo fan, you're not used to watching a Toronto team succeed lately. So it's got to feel good to see the Toronto Blue Jays doing what they're doing and against the top-notch Dodgers team. I have never seen Shohei Ohtani look so frustrated.
Yeah, literally.
Against Trey Savage.
He looked like he didn't know what to do. Usually Jose Ohtani just walks up there like, yeah, this is my jam. This is my thing. Never hit, Barry Bonds type of player, and he wasn't getting it last night at all. And you got to give the Jays a lot of credit. They were by far the underdog going into this series. There are a lot of people were saying, oh, the Dodgers are going to sweep them out. And here we are going in Game 6. So pretty incredible. Good job, Jays.
We'll find out if Mark Carney was right, because he did project the Blue Jays in 6.
Oh, boy.
So we will see what's going on, but obviously we will be having a pregame show for the Blue Jays tomorrow. So big game for that coming up for the Jays. And we have a novel comment again from Key. We love the novels, Key. Went over to my grandpa's to watch the game last night, and part of the family conversation today, Lane, the family conversation, we were mentioning that you canceled your viewing party tickets to Game 2. But Lane, I'm totally the same type of sports fan as you. I have undying respect for your brother.
Thanks, Keith.
100.
I'm passionate, but there's good and bad to it.
And you know what, Josh? I gotta agree with you. Trey Savage is an icon, and I was saying this to the fam.
Josh, you got to get this guy a home. He's literally homeless. Help him out. And he's only got $35 in his wallet.
Hey, he's gonna get a nice playoff bonus coming up. But
yeah, he can't stay on sofas forever. I think it's getting
I just think it's funny.
Bonus, so he's nice down payment.
Okay, I just want to know, gas or ass? I actually have a gas or ass about this.
Okay, let's go.
Gas, gas, or is it ass?
Okay, gas or ass? Seriously, when all these great, they always give Kawhi Leonard free food. How hasn't the mayor of Toronto been like, Trey Savage, here's a free home? Seriously, you give Kawhi Leonard free food wherever he goes. You give this guy a key to the city. You gave Batista the key to the city. Trey Savage has literally been playing out of his mind for this team for like 3 weeks now. Where's the free home? And be like, here you go, the house is yours.
I'm sure
a home's a little different than a sandwich.
I don't know. Free food for a life could be more expensive.
Not for Kawhi anymore, because he quietly left Toronto. Ha 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 ha.
But you got to
like Trey Savage is certainly going to get at least some candy bars at some point on his Halloween hunt. But look, let's be honest here. If you're the Blue Jays, you're absolutely ecstatic about this Savage kid, and you're definitely finding a way to make him more comfortable. I wouldn't be surprised if he's staying at the Rogers Center. Maybe, you know what? Everyone seems to be on Varshall's pull-out couch. Maybe he's there as well. Who knows?
Niners too.
But at the end of the day, look, what Savage has been doing, 12 strikeouts in a World Series game. And you know what he said in his post-game interview? I wish I got 13.
Yeah, I know. He's just
hungry for more at 22 years old. I think this team, and I'm going to call it, I think this team found their next Roy Halladay. I think they found
that big. Yeah,
the guy.
I agree with you. I totally agree. Like, I was trying to think, like, let's face it.
Dan's thinking.
I know his team's coming out of my ears, right? This Savage thing is literally like a Walt Disney movie. Like
this whole season's a Walt Disney movie.
It really is. Like, besides of like parents dying, it's really like a Walt Disney movie. It's that good and that entertaining. So I gotta say, I was thinking, when was the last time we saw an athlete starting minors, not drafted number one, and Vladdy, I totally agree with that too. Vladdy's incredible. And I was thinking the last time we saw an athlete did this was Jordan Binnington with the St. Louis Blues in 2018. He started that year in the minors, got caught up in January, and look where it got to, right? He got a Stanley Cup. So maybe Savage is the same. I totally agree with Buchanan. Like, Vladdy has to be the MVP of the playoffs. He's that good.
Look,
he's doing it defensively. He's doing it offensively. He has a high average. He's a leader of the team.
Look, I'm going to say it, and you may think I'm crazy. I think you could argue Trey Savage for MVP.
Oh,
what he has done, it's going to go to Vladdy Guerrero Jr. We all know what's going to Vladdy Guerrero Jr. But you could argue it for Ernie Clement, and you could argue it for Trey Savage.
Oh, interesting comment about the rookie card, right from 20 to 300.
I wish I bought a Savage rookie card.
I know, we should have. Man.
One of my favorite comments I've seen, though, is people saying, so there are 19, because the Savage was drafted 20 overall. They say there are 19 scouts who should be fired. Because Trey Savage is turning out and you know what? As much as we've openly called out John Schneider a lot, I want to give him not a laugh track at the wrong button.
Wrong button, bro.
A round of applause. Because a lot of coaches would not have started Trey Savage at 22 years old in the playoffs.
No, I know.
They maybe would have had him in the bullpen or maybe not even play. But he knew him well enough, and to start him in Game 5 of a tied World Series and do what he did. Look, I mean, it's amazing what Savage has done, but also big ups to Alejandro Kirk for calming him down when he did struggle in one inning, and big up to Schneider for having the confidence to say, look, Trey Savage is the guy.
Talk about another great leader and Alejandro Kirk. And
Alejandro.
Talk about for drafting. The Blue Jays is one. I don't know if every team does this. If we're one of few teams that they have scouts internationally, right? They have scouts down in Dominican Republic. They have scouts in Japan, which I know didn't work out for Savage because he was from America. But still, the fact that they pay staff year-round to travel the world and watch baseball, this is how they get great players. Like Kirk, for example. I don't think Kirk was even drafted. And look at him now. He could arguably be MVP of his team. The way he leads the pitching and leads the people in the dugout, and he's such a nice, humble guy. The same with Vladdy. They're all like super humble, super nice human beings. And I think that's the one thing that we forget about this team. We're always so focused saying, oh, it's Vladdy, it's Savage, it's Kirk, it's Springer, it's Komet, name your roster player here. But at the end of the day, it's the fact that they're all a unit, right? And that's why they're so good.
I know we got to get to the Elks, but there is one guy I actually want to give a huge shout out to. And everyone's forgotten about this guy. And I want to give him a huge shout out because he took so much word I can't even say on this podcast. But I got to give a huge round of applause to Mr. Jeff Hoffman, okay? This guy, who's never been a closer ever in the MLB before, comes on this team, gets put in a role he's never been used to, never been asked to do, come in the ninth inning and close out games. He started up the year incredible. Everyone was like, oh, Hoffman, yeah, he's great. Then he had this like large portion where it felt like, you could be up 12 runs, and you're like,
I remember you were panicking back then, Mr. Lane.
Oh, sure, but it was like just a fact, right? There was a large portion, probably like almost 40 or 50 games, where it felt like, we're up by 15 runs. Jeff Hoffman's going to let in 20. But you know what? I got to give him credit. The postseason, this guy has been absolutely electric. He's dialed in. He's coming clutch time after clutch game after clutch game after clutch game. The Yankees, Seattle, now the Dodgers. He just comes in and he gets boom, 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 and it's over.
Yeah, like 100%. You got to give him credit too. You could give Varsel credit over saves of the home runs he makes way out the wall, right? Like you could go up and down this lineup. You give Snyder credit. Here was a guy who started the year in the minors. He goes up and hits a home run off the first pitch.
He beat you to it, though, Mr. Moore, for. They get coming up quick enough. But, yeah, you got to give Magnum P.I. Schneider for what he's doing. Yeah, like, look, one other quick Jay I want to shout out before we move on to the Elks is I actually want to give shout out to Mr. Little, one of their relief pitchers.
Yeah.
And hear me out. And I'm going to say why. After everything he went through, he could have went out in the 7th. And I know they lost in the 18th, but his job as a relief pitcher is to pitch 1 inning. And he went in and pitched that 17th inning, giving the Jays a chance to get to the 18th and get a chance to win that ball game. I mean, his confidence was completely shot, and he got through a scoreless inning. So at the end of the day, I think this Jays team is just confident in one another, and I don't think you don't see them blaming each other for a loss. Something straight up. I think another Toronto team, the Toronto Maple Leafs, the team with the jerseys I have behind me, need to start taking notes at the way the Jays aren't turning on each other when they are having adversity. One other quick note before we move on to the Elks. George Springer is expected to return for Game 6.
I'm surprised. I thought they were Western for Game 7.
Springer dingers once again. I'm not surprised at all. George Springer looked so disappointed when he didn't get to go in as a pinch runner the other night, and
he did.
I think I said it was going to take a lot to keep George Springer out of this series, and I will preach to you. I will preach the word of the analyst desk.
Yeah, literally.
I'm also very excited to see George Springer back in the lineup.
And the other thing we gotta give credit to quickly is Mad Max. Like, talk about the leader of the dressing room. Holy cow! I think Mad Max was the missing piece to his team. I'm that confident. Like he doesn't play every game, but everything that he does in the bullpen with the players, and not just with the players, even with the managers, he's constantly talking with the managers. And it's almost like having an assistant coach in the dugout. Like, it's incredible how intense he is and how much he loves the game at age 41. I mean, I don't want to see him go. I want to bring it back.
He's getting a little
42.
old,
Let's go.
But when we talk about who to bring back, and what to do with your season, right? And we're the Edmonton Elks, just obviously their season is finished. And this is a season of a lot of ups and downs. They did make a great push at the end of the year, but at the end of the day, they didn't get it done. So now the big question is, who needs to be getting on the train and getting out of Edmonton? And who should stay? So the first question, obviously, is Cody Fajardo. Cody Fajardo is your quarterback you haven't signed yet. And listening to the way Ed Harvey's talking, and Mark Killam, and even Cody Fajardo will be back. I would put, I don't know, I'll give you one of my cell phones if Cody Fajardo doesn't come back. Like,
he's got 2 phones?
Because I look at Cody Fajardo, and I think if he was the starter this year, Winnipeg might not have made the playoffs, and Edmonton might have.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, what do you guys feel? Do you feel like should Edmonton be looking outside of the organization at QB?
No.
Like maybe at a Nick Arbuckle, maybe a Chad Kelly? Or do you think they just stick with Cody Fajardo? And good, remember, they have all their running backs, so Justin Rankin's extended. You have Justin Rankin. So this skeleton's happy about it. He's dancing.
Yeah, he knows him. Or did you just add him?
I just add him. But Key, as the Edmonton fan, obviously doesn't agree with what I'm saying. As much as I'm bullied by Mitch, but Bully is my favorite and Cody isn't, the bottom line is if we would have started Fajardo from the get-go, okay, you beat me to it. Yeah, Key, I know you're not a big Fajardo fan, and that's fine. But I really feel if you started Fajardo at the beginning of the year, you make the playoffs.
100%.
Dan, do you also agree with that?
Oh, 1,000%. There's no denying that. Like, I am shocked that Trey Ford is as bad as he was. I mean, like, you look at Treyu Savage and everything he's done, and then you want to see the complete opposite of Treyu Savage, and that's Trey Ford. Like, he got a massive...
I don't agree with that, though.
I don't agree with that.
You don't agree, really?
Because,
he
Dan,
got a
Trey
$300,000
Ford,
contract. It's huge in the CFL.
Trey Ford, when he first came in, dominated. He was unstoppable. No one could contain him. He was winning games. He was making teams... It literally looked like he was playing against, like, a high school team when defenses were out there. And that's what Savage looks like when he's out there throwing strikeouts. The bigger thing for Savage will he be like what Trey Ford is now? After a couple years and teams start to figure him out, the big question is, will Trey Ford be the trick or the treat?
Yeah.
And I think it's definitely, I love these overlays, but I think it's definitely time for Edmonton to move on from Trey Ford. And I think Trey Ford will have success somewhere else.
So do I.
Oh, for sure, 100%. I'm not saying he's a bad quarterback. I think he's probably the most entertaining quarterback in the CFL. And I think if he was on a bigger stage like the NFL, for example, I think he would have a huge fan base because he is that entertaining. I swear
Trey
to God,
Ford has a big fan.
That game that we saw, Toronto versus Edmonton, when Trey Ford was at BMO, and that crazy play he did, I swear to God, that was probably the best quarterback play I saw in person in my life.
Now, you have to remember, though, when Trey Ford was doing all these things before, he also had
an O-line,
Cobb, an O-line, and Eugene Lewis. So my big question is, yes, Cody Fajardo, I think, needs to be your guy. But the bigger question, in my opinion, in Edmonton is the wide receiver situation. So you have Steven Dunbar, Curly Gittins Jr., Kaelon Julian Grant, Tyson Middlemost, and Arkell Smith as your guys potentially on the way out.
I finally figured out what A and N means. I did not know that.
So this is...
I got a hot.
These names are from Third Down Nation. Really good.
I thought I was assistant captain and nobody.
No, from Third Down Nation. So if you're looking for more on this, obviously you can head over there if you want to read. I know Dan doesn't like to read, so we talk.
No, I like to read, not read.
Key, I completely agree, Dan. It was like comparing him to Baker. He's not attainable where he doesn't belong, but when he finds a spot, he's beautiful. Yeah, Trey Ford could be like the Baker Mayfield of the CFL. Put him in Winnipeg and he might flourish.
100%.
But I look
by
at
order that happens, Zach Collaros needs to retire, which we still don't know.
I look at this receiving core, though, and this is basically, for the most part, your main receivers. And to be honest, I wouldn't be that upset if they clean slate on receivers.
I was just going to say, I'm like, I'm a Hamilton Ticats guy. A lot of these guys are Hamilton Ticats. I think all these guys got to go.
You know what? I would be willing to give Dunbar another shot because when he was healthy, he was by far your best receiver.
I'm not a big fan of these guys.
None of these receivers hit anywhere close to 1,000 yards.
I wouldn't be surprised if this was I think this is like a clean house.
So your top receiver was Julian Grant, who right now when I try to look at their stats, they're trying to get me to buy a Edmonton Elks sweater, which I'm not interested in buying an Edmonton Elks sweater at the moment.
Why not?
But so Julian Grant had 820 yards.
That's it?
Yeah. Curly Gittins Jr. 777. And this is the concern. Justin Rankin's your third highest was 713.
Yeah.
When you're basically relying on your running back. Actually, Victor, I do agree with you, Key. Victor, I thought as the season went on, Benjamin Victor on 32 catches at 331 yards. I felt he was starting to get. He's a guy that you can maybe build around, but they have him locked up.
I agree.
So,
he's kind of like for Herslow for Edmonton.
It's just you kind of look at, well, not quite, but yeah.
No, but I mean, he's a young receiver you can build on.
Now, Stephen Dunbar, if he remained healthy, I think he could have got close to 1,000 yards this year. He was at 551 at about the halfway point.
Yeah.
But besides of Julian Grant, who had 30 plays for over 30 yards, Gritton's had 5 plays over 30. Then again, Justin Rankin is your third best for plays over 30 yards with 5 for in the air. Right? So I really think the receiving core, I think this is the problem in Edmonton offensively. The offensive line wasn't great either. Don't get me wrong. But I think the receiving core was your biggest issue because I felt there were times where a guy just couldn't make that 50-50 catch the way you see Coxie do it in Toronto or Lawler do it in Hamilton or what Nick Dembski's been able to do for so many years in Winnipeg, right? Like you're missing that. Julian Grant had a great year. Actually, you know what? He's probably the guy that the one receiver I'd really want to keep if I'm Edmonton.
Jacob, forget about 50-50 catches. They couldn't even make wide open catches.
I know. It was a tough, and I do agree with Key. I thought Benjamin Victor, as the season went on, improved. I think you could build something off him. But I think I would look at a team like Toronto that has some good receivers going to become available. And maybe even Ottawa, if they decide to move on from Eugene Lewis, because that's a possibility. Or Lewis would not come back to Edmonton after the GM comments, which is the whole other problem at Edmonton, right? No one likes the general manager in Edmonton, Ned Harvey.
Well, that's the $1 million question. As of now, rest in peace to the owner, by the way. But as of now, it's the family taking care of ownership. However, do we see a new owner in the cards of the Edmonton Elks? Do they sell it off? Because let's face it, he was the big football fan. Does the family know football? Do they want to own a football team? Like, are they back up for sale again? And if they are back up for sale, are they going to get new staff, like a new GM?
That family has already said they are continuing the legacy and they are going to continue ownership of that team.
I figured because I know they said that a while ago, but after such a disastrous season,
that's not happening. But what I'm more looking at is you look at Ottawa, for example, when you look at the wide receiving room, they have Addison and Justin Hardy both becoming free agents. Can you imagine Edmonton picking up just one of these guys?
Oh, for sure.
Especially Justin Hardy, the guy, he's been a 1,000-yard guy 3 years in a row on an Ottawa team that's really struggled. And so I think that is where you're going to see them looking to improve. But Dan, you're being called out, dude.
I see that.
They said his wife is going to take over, and I think they should keep the family idea going. And I
think they should too. I'm just saying, like a lot of times when something first happens, they say, "Oh yeah, we'll do this," but then afterwards they look into it like, "Holy cow, this is a lot more than what we thought." Right? So hopefully they do stay with it. It says $1 million question is, will they?
Now, here's another $1 million question in Edmonton. And Key, I agree with you. I really think Justin Hardy could be the missing piece for the offense. A true 1,000-yard receiver. Cool. And the way he runs his routes, I really think would fit Edmonton's system. But here's the big thing at Edmonton. So surprisingly, with a lot of injuries, a lot of other guys like Jonathan Congo and
Jacob Selesda come back to the Argos.
Well, and I was going to say, does Edmonton keep, but does Edmonton maybe let a guy like Selesda go because of how much success other players at the defensive line, at the defensive line position had? Right? Like these were a lot of guys that were not expected to play that well in Edmonton when they had injuries. And sure enough, they played excellent.
Yeah, exactly. So I could see them saving some money off for defensive line to put money into their wide receivers, for example.
Well, and that's what I'm wondering, right? Because you look here at some of the sack totals, right? And Noah Taylor, who was, he's a potential free agent, but he had four sacks this year. Joe DeBlanco had 2 sacks, 6 tackles for loss, and 80 defensive tackles in general, right? So like you're looking at some of these guys who were like Jake Ceresna. I'm sorry, he had 1 sack and 1 interception.
Mm-hmm.
Then 41 defensive tackle and 16 defensive tackles. Sorry. So, like, yes, he had some injuries. The very interesting thing is on the defense, much he's not on the free agent list, it sounds like Miles Morgan will not be playing another game in Edmonton.
Oh, interesting.
They did re-sign Tyrell Ford to a big contract.
I was surprised by that.
Because Tyrell Ford also had a quiet year by Tyrell Ford standards, but they really like him there. I just wonder with this defensive line, Jake Ceresna is I believe is the second highest paid defensive lineman in the CFL. And I could see them taking that money, and please feel free to jump in the comments if you agree or think I'm crazy. You take the money away that you're paying Jake Ceresna and bring in Justin Hardy. And I think you've probably made this team better, right?
Jake Ceresna goes back to the Argos.
Goes to Toronto or any team that could use help at the defensive line, right? Jake Ceresna is he's a phenomenal player.
I loved him as Argonaut.
But I wonder too about Nick Anderson. Is he a guy that sticks around, right? Like there's Jonathan.
Boy, Edmonton's going to miss him if he doesn't.
But see, like, and
I think he's one of the best. I know I think that's one reason why they lost too, was because Anderson was injured so much throughout the year, right? Everyone goes on about the quarterback, but Anderson's a huge part of that team.
But Dan, you have to remember the defense in Edmonton got better as the year went on. So, like,
I get that, but Anderson's one of the best defensive players in the league.
Remember to like us on Facebook, even though I did not mean for that to take away the graphic. But you're looking here in Edmonton. Brandon Barlow's a guy that I would really want to keep. He was in both Toronto and in Hamilton. Really strong defensive lineman.
I forgot he was in Toronto for a minute. Sorry about that, buddy.
I do love Anderson, but our Anderson isn't the only Anderson out there. And that's the thing. There are other your middle linebacking crew, which we'll go over in a second, actually did very well with Morgan and Anderson injured, right? Other guys stepped up. So look, I think Edmonton is another team. Sure. I think they're stacked on defense. Could we all agree? And before we go into the next group, could we all agree that Edmonton is stacked defensively and doesn't have enough offense?
Oh, 100%.
I would say that, yeah.
So to look at that, the way to fix that problem is to subtract some of your defense to bring in more offense. They have the opposite problem of Toronto.
I was going to say, like we were talking about Toronto, unfortunately, cutting Chad Kelly and taking that money from Chad Kelly's contract and spreading it out towards the team. And Edmonton's got to do the same thing with their defense and offense.
Because they have the highest paid defense in the CFL, and their defense played very well this year. It took them a bit to get going, but it played very well, in my opinion. I thought the defense was a real bright spot of this group.
It was pretty good. It took a while to get going, but it finally did get going eventually.
It did. So now looking at the linebackers, you know what? These are guys that I think, again, you want to try to keep them around, but they're not like your core pieces, right?
Yeah.
Like Kobe Williams actually had a pretty good year overall on the stat sheet a lot. You know, with 54 defensive tackles, and he certainly made a difference to this team. But you're kind of looking at the other players, and like they're decent players, right? But I think these are guys that you're maybe willing to let go because of some other guys that stepped up in the defense as a whole.
Right.
And then the only other really, it's not over graphic for us, it's just one player, but like the only other one is their punter, Cody Grace. Javon Leake is still locked up in the special teams. Cody Grace, I think, is someone you definitely want to keep.
Yeah, he played well.
I think if anything, maybe that's another spot though. I think Edmonton's got to look at for moving on the next year. I thought their kicking game, like field goal kicking, was a legitimate issue again with Blanchard. Just struggling off and on throughout the year.
That was pretty weak. Actually, I hate to call it out because I love my kickers, but there were quite a few kickers in the CFL were kind of weak this year. Let's be honest.
Yeah, like, I mean, field goal game was not as strong with, like, you had like guys like Laramie Oahu who
he was a clown
everything. And I made the argument about Sean White, even though
he's arguably MVP for the Argos this year.
I argue with Sean White as much as it's impressive. He does it in indoor arenas for half his games, but Sean White's another one.
Yeah.
Leggio had a really good year in Hamilton, and so did Castillo and Winnipeg, hitting a couple 60-yarders again. Yes. But I just look at
half of the kickers right now.
But I just look at Edmonton. I think you need to improve your kicking game field goal wise. And you need to put together a decent receiving core around Cody Fajardo. I don't think it has to be like the best receiving core in the CFL. I don't think this team is built to win games 50-45. I think they're built to win 23-20.
Yeah.
And right now they can't score 23. They're scoring they can score 17.
Yeah.
I think that's the issue. So you clean up, you just add a little more offense to this team. And I think this team's a playoff team next year.
So do I.
I think this team's really out of the three teams, Toronto and Edmonton are the two that I could see flipping the script next year.
100%.
Yeah. So here's the $1 million question. If Edmonton and Toronto go into playoffs, who comes out of the playoffs?
Well, I think Winnipeg won. I think that's an easy one for me.
Okay.
And then that's tough between the CFL has a good problem right now, right? Even the teams that are bad aren't that bad.
Right.
It's not like you're trying to watch the Miami Dolphins play in the NFL, and no disrespect to Miami. They have some talented players. I'm not saying they don't. But you look at the CFL, the only team that really wasn't competitive week to week, and I don't mean as a record, but week to week was Ottawa this year, which we'll talk about Ottawa next week in a deep dive in them as well. But it's going to be tough, right? I could have seen Calgary not make the playoffs with the middle stretch being so poor.
True. Yeah.
And Key, if you're wondering, I don't have a lot of Blue Jay swag. Dan and Lane are both sporting something I should. What's rude? Number one, this is a CFL show here, so I'm keeping it the Canadian Football League.
Well, I got my CFL hat.
It's actually my hat.
Oh, well, true, but anyway.
But no, I do have a Toronto Blue Jays golf shirt that is currently in the washing machine, and I'd rather not wear a very damp shirt. But no, I'll be honest, baseball is not my top sport, right? I'm really more of a...
Boo!
I still want the Jays to win. I'm not like Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, who are Dodgers fans.
Yeah, that sucked.
Which you guys were mad about Farhan Lalji.
I was more mad about Prince Harry, to be honest.
A lot of people were mad about Farhan Lalji. It's like Prince Harry is literally royalty to Canada. He's wearing a Dodgers hat. I think that's 1,000 times worse.
I agree with you.
But no, at the end of the day, I'm just looking. Edmonton finished 7-11.
Are we going to see Justin Trudeau become a LA fan now? Is dating Carey Perry?
No. No. But so my question for you guys is, if Edmonton played Fajardo the whole year, what would have been their record? They were 7-11.
10-7.
I'm going to say 10-6.
Would be 10-7 and not 10-6 isn't
my bad.
That's okay.
So we had the same answer.
It would be 10-8 actually, because neither one of you did.
Oh yeah.
10-8.
No. So then I'm going to go 11-7 then.
Okay, I'm going to go 10-8.
I think they would have been.
I'm bad at math.
I would say a low at 9-9, a high of 12-6.
12-6. Is it at the Rough Riders?
Key, yet again, man, you guys are good at math today. That doesn't equal 18.
Maybe there's a tie in there.
It could be a tie. So 9-8-1, we'll say from Key. But look, I think this Edmonton team is very, very, very close. Key's thinking 9-9. I just think I think next year the defense will be good to start. Bring in Justin Hardy if Ottawa is willing to let him walk. Maybe even go to Ottawa for one of their quarterbacks as your new short yardage, because it looks like Dustin Crum might not be returning to Ottawa. We'll talk more about that in the Ottawa.
Dustin Crum and Fajardo? Holy cow.
And you know what? Actually, we could talk about that a little bit, because if you got a guy like Dustin Crum in Edmonton, Dustin Crum reminds me of Cody Fajardo a lot.
Yeah. And
if you could get Cody Fajardo to mentor Dustin Crum, then you potentially have your starter for when Cody Fajardo retires, right? So I really look at it, if you can keep Julian Grant, you keep Victor, You maybe re-sign Gittins because he had a decent year and he's Canadian.
Gittins.
You bring in Justin Hardy. You lose a little bit of the defense in Morgan and we'll say Serezna. And plus you're cutting Trey Ford's salary. You're going to have the money to bring
Argos.
You're going to bring in some salary to fix some of those issues. Because let's be honest, the Elks don't really need some of these other guys anymore the way Joe DeBronco played with over 80 tackles, right? Justin Rankin at the running game had over 1,000 yards on the ground, over 700 in the air. This team does have some bright spots. Cody Fajardo put up a potential MOP caliber year if he played the whole season. Mm-hmm. So this Edmonton team's got some bright spots. They're like Toronto in that sense. They have some bright spots. I think their record is about where they were at this year. I think it took a bit too long for the defense and the offense to really start to click. But I think this team's very, very close. You're trying to sleep only 5 hours in 3 days. Do math. Very true, Key. It's hard to do math when you're half asleep. But yeah, still would have been cracked under pressure, especially against BC. How well they played against BC is actually making me cheer for the enemy on Saturday. Oh. And by the way, we will have a playoff preview show on Saturday. So don't worry.
Big weekend in the CFL. But obviously a massive weekend of baseball, but also a huge weekend in CFL too.
You know what? That's why I say October is the best time to be a sports fan. You got the NBA starting to get going, even though the Raptors so far have been extremely disappointing. That's a topic we got to get into soon. Not tonight, but we have that. You got the CFL season and the most exciting part of the year. World Series. Hockey's just getting going. Even though these goaltenders forgot that the hockey's going so far because both Stolarz and Primo have been shaky, to say the least.
Oh my gosh. I could have stopped the shots at Primo face.
That's not true. You can't skate. But at the end of the day.
Yeah, 10-year-old kid could have stopped him, no problem.
At the end of the day, this is a very exciting time to be a sports fan. But I think final words about Edmonton, if you're an Elks fan, or if you're just, looking to see what all these teams are doing. I know the last 5 to 6 years in Edmonton has been very frustrating. Yeah. And I totally understand that. I could totally understand if you give up on this team.
This team's close.
I think this team is very, very close.
I didn't feel that a couple years ago.
The key will be if Ed Harvey can keep his mouth shut so they can bring in some good players. Honestly, I think Ed Harvey should be fired. I think that would just fix a lot of issues. Fire Ed Harvey. Call Ottawa about Eugene Lewis because Eugene Lewis in Edmonton would be incredible. And make something happen in Edmonton. Get this offense to be right now. I grade this offense at like a D+. Get this offense up to a C+, and you're a playoff team.
For sure.
I feel this team is that close. Like the defense, I would give like an A-. Kick return game, an A. Your running game's an A. Your passing offense is like a D. Because you have no weapons. Give Cody Fajardo one really good weapon and let him go to work.
That's all he needs. He needs one 1,000-yard guy for sure.
And I really feel if they go get a guy like Justin Hardy or, you call Toronto and be like, look, if you don't have a spot for Jake Hirschlow, we'll give you...
No!
Hear me? Calm down. We're keeping Hirschlow. We'll give you Robbie Smith and the rights to Jake Serezna before he comes up free agency. And then all of a sudden, maybe you've made something work. I'm not saying that's going to happen, Dan, but I think that's what Edmonton has to look at right now.
Yeah. I would give up Daniels. I'm going to give up Purcell.
And before we go here, he is saying she is boycotting the NBA. Where's the accountability? No respect for the FBI. No respect for there not being a lockdown, and it comes down to way more than just gambling. It's a disaster, and I can't support the level of corruption. I love everything else in October for sports.
I don't know if you guys saw.
Interesting.
I don't know if you guys saw this yesterday, but everything that just happened, James Hart. Everyone knows who James Harden is.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Step Back.
His over-under for the game was 20.5. He had 20 points in the first quarter and then decided to miss every shot since. How do you not, with everything going on?
We're seeing the same thing still continuing.
Yeah, 100%.
Also, quickly, thank you to Kyle Bolton for the like. Always appreciate the likes.
Oh, yes. Hello, Kyle.
Maybe Dan knows Kyle. He seems very excited.
But I'm just like, yeah, I'm going to the
Kyle's
NBA. I
good
know, like,
guy.
it's crazy. Like, I use some once in a while. I usually put a bet on the NBA, but I'm not.
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing. If you're looking to bet on the NBA, I would save your money
wouldn't.
and bet somewhere else.
I just want to say quickly, speaking of something else, the NHL's going on tonight. I don't know if this is going on Spotify or whatever, but if it does, it's 9:15 currently in Ontario, October 30th. Just quickly, you got Calgary and Ottawa tied 2-2 into the third. Philly beating Nashville 3-1. Stars and Lightning tied 1-1 in the third. Boston beating Buffalo 3-1. Hurricanes beating your Islanders, Jacob, 3-1. Jets beating Chicago 3-1. Wild and Pittsburgh tied 1-1 in the second. St. Louis beating Vancouver 2-1. And a couple other games starting tonight that haven't quite fired up yet are Edmonton and the Oilers, Devils and Sharks, and Red Wings and Kings. So
quickly then, since you brought up hockey, I do want to mention, I want to get your opinions on this before we go then. Okay. Matthew Barzal was late to practice.
Good boy.
He's their best player, right? Would we all agree to that?
Yeah.
I'm guessing Matthew Schaefer, but sure.
You could say Matthew Schaefer as well, who has the one goal for the Islanders tonight. Barzal is a healthy scratch. Ooh. I understand putting accountability. I understand doing it early in the year. But at the same time, I don't know if it's worth hurting your entire team for that accountability.
Yeah.
When one of your guys who has a shot on the net, or one of your guys who has some of your most shots in the game is David Riddick, who's in net, there might be a problem offensively tonight. So I just look at the Islanders don't have the offensive depth. I think you could have held accountability in a different way, as maybe say he has to pay a fine to charity, do something that benefits everyone. And I understand they want to show, like, look, it's a team, you need to do this. And I get it's early in the year. By the way, Pittsburgh just scored to tie it at 1 with the Wild. But I
forget who the coach of the Islanders is.
I just look at the Islanders and they actually have a chance to make the playoffs this year. They've started 4-1. They've actually are not playing terribly. I just don't
say Schaefer's winning Rookie of the Year. Is that healthy to say? I think so.
Oh, for sure.
At the moment, yeah. There's no one else even close, really. I mean, Misa's been playing okay, but nothing to what Schaefer's doing. But I just mean in the Islanders.
San Jose?
Yeah. I just hope that they don't keep Barzal on the shelf too long. And if Barzal's becoming a problem, then just trade him and bring someone in. Bring someone else.
Trading Barzal. Holy cow. That's
if he's causing problems, then get rid of him and move on. You don't
imagine what you could get for him.
You don't want to do what Vancouver did, right?
True.
Also, quick congratulations to John Tavares for his 500th career NHL goal in a game that meant absolutely nothing because the rest of the team forgot that they were playing. Actually, that was a little bit of a frustrating game. The Leafs did outshoot the Blue Jackets 36-24. Every time I was flipping that game on, I felt like they had control. They just weren't getting enough goals out of it because of the goaltending's been really shaky. Dan, you blame Joseph Woll a lot. I think right now you wish you had Joseph Woll, who could come in and step in for a shaky Stolars and a shaky Primo.
No. I mean, he was hopeless in the playoffs.
No, he wasn't. He had a shutout, you idiot.
Oh my god! He had over 3 goals against Ablets. It was just as bad.
So does Stolars.
No, this is bad. Stolars and Primo.
Stolars is terrible. You got to do something
because obviously this team cannot score a goal or save their life. Thought Marcelli's a piece of crap. I pointed that out.
He's actually starting to get going.
You got Nick Robertson, who's been quiet again. It's disappointing.
Nick Robertson had 2 points last night.
Okay, against bloody Columbus. I could get 2 points against Columbus.
No, you couldn't.
But yeah.
Then Marcelli's actually now he's considering he didn't get his first point till game 7. Now after game 11, he has 4 points. He's starting to get going.
I get that, but
he's starting to play really well now that he's playing with Tavares and Nyes. I actually really like that combo.
I don't.
So time will tell. But of course, we will be back.
Underpants has done nothing since he took him off with Knives. I think it's more important to have your captain going versus Marcelli.
I don't completely agree with you. I think Matthews. I really want to see a healthy Nylander playing with Matthews and McMahon. And
that's why I've been calling for summer. You said I was crazy.
Well, they tried it for a couple, and when they've tried it, it's worked. And Tavares and Nye seem to be able to drive another line. And once you have Scott Laughton back, I think the bottom six looks very different.
But you can put Domi back in the top six.
But I think on all that about the Leafs and the NBA, and we'll be back tomorrow. Don't worry. Don't you worry. Lane, please don't worry.
I'm worried.
Lane, don't worry.
I'm trying not to.
Look into my eyes, Lane.
I'm trying. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. But I want to say, everyone, thank you very much for joining us at the analyst desk. He's giving Lane a little wink, or maybe he's just giving us a link. A wink, not a link. I don't know. I just work here. But we will be back tomorrow. I know, Lane, I think you said you might be elsewhere tomorrow, but I know Dan and I will be definitely back for a Jays pregame show, or maybe you'll be here, Lane. Who knows?
Oh, yeah, no. For the pregame or postgame?
Yes.
Both.
Well, it'll definitely be for postgame, but pregame I will definitely be at a Burlington Cougars game and check our little social media on Facebook. I'll be doing a video as I always do.
Oh, yes.
Actually, quickly then, Lane, before we go, the Cougars were a team that, OJHL, phenomenal league. What do you think of the Cougars so far this year? I think they've looked decent.
It's definitely been an up and down. They've been definitely getting a little bit better as of recently. They picked up some good players. It's starting to get a little bit better, which we knew because they kind of came in with definitely a younger roster, definitely a bit of a different mindset. They picked up some newer guys. They're losing 2-0 to the Leamington Flyers right now.
Well, that's to be expected.
But
Leamington's a really good club.
But that's really their first loss in almost over a week. Unless I'm crazy, I know the last game they lost in overtime to Mississauga, but they got a point of that. It's the first time in almost 4 games they didn't get a point. So
Calgary just took the lead. It's 3-2 Calgary versus Ottawa. So Ottawa's really struggling here at the beginning too, which we did not expect that.
But quickly before we go, as a reminder, the team that wins Game 5, this is back to the Blue Jays, the team that wins Game 5 takes a 3 series lead, have gone on to win the World Series 65.8% of the time. A record of 27-14 since 1925.
Ooh.
Wanted to remind everyone that. Am I going to dress up as Winnie the Pooh? I don't think so.
Winnie the Pooh doesn't know what to do with the honey jar stuck on his nose.
It's up his nose, not on his nose. But
no, it's on his nose.
Thank you. I guess it would be. I don't know. I just work here. But thank you very much, everyone, for watching the Analyst Desk. And remember to follow us on all the social medias. Make sure you watch out for Lane's updates on the Burlington Cougars. And for anyone who's in the OJHL region, which is the Ontario Junior Hockey League, and you're looking to watch some really affordable hockey, I will say I think it's the best bang for your buck you're going to go watch.
Milton Menace, holy cow.
Milton Menace, exciting. Burlington Cougars, also Mississauga Chargers are playing a lot better this year. So did Coward and Admirals. It's exciting hockey.
Georgetown's a good club too, aren't they? Decent.
Unfortunately, Georgetown is really, really struggling this year. But that, again, this is a whole other conversation. But the Georgetown Raiders, I think they've lost 12 straight last time I looked.
Oh, they were decent a couple years ago.
Okay, they won the whole Buckland Cup in 2017, I want to say. Close. If Alan Corca was here in the comments, good friend of ours, he'd tell us right away. But thank you very much, everyone, for watching. We'll be back with so much more. You're going to think we were made of s'mores. I'm the self-proclaimed sports analyst, joined by the most dashing man alive, Lane Dashing Dashko. Look how dashing this man is. And, of course, Mr. More for your money.
Woo!
And until next time, brothers, look into the eyes and see that the Edmonton Elks will be much better next season, brother. Thanks, everyone. We'll be back tomorrow. Remember, every day always feels like game day when you're at the analyst desk.
Bye-bye.